There are moments in life when everything seems to collapse at once. We lose someone we love, a job we value, or a direction we once thought was solid. We feel lost, angry, and even wronged by life itself. Yet what few realize is this: in those seemingly darkest moments, life is secretly teaching us a profound lesson that nothing happens without reason. Buddhism calls this karmic causation. Every event, whether beautiful or painful, carries a hidden purpose, a perfect piece in the larger tapestry of karma and growth. Sometimes we can't understand why we must suffer, why losses keep coming, why our efforts go unrewarded. But if we can pause, take a step back, and observe with a calm heart, we will see something miraculous. Every pain is guiding us toward higher understanding. Pain does not come to punish, but to purify. Loss does not come to take away, but to make space for something new to be born. Like a goldsmith who refines gold in fire, life uses trials to burn away the impurities within us: pride, fear, attachment, so that what remains becomes purer, lighter, and freer. We often pray for a smooth journey, but the Buddha taught there is no path to enlightenment that does not pass through suffering. Therefore, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" When you change the question, your perspective changes, and with it, your heart begins to transform. For the essence of life is not about avoiding pain, but about learning how to face it and uncover its meaning. Think back to the hardest times in your life, wasn't it? Through those losses that you learned to love more deeply, to be more patient, to understand yourself more clearly. It is through breaking that we are forced to look inward, where we rediscover a strength we never knew existed. Adversity is not a wrong turn. It is a lantern along the path, illuminating what truly matters, what must be released, and what is worth holding on to. So when life pushes you into darkness, don't rush to curse it. Remember, it is in the deepest darkness that a seed begins to sprout. Without night, dawn would hold no meaning. Without collapse, there would be no growth. Life is not against you, it is training you. Everything that happens carries a purpose more delicate than you can see. And when you are calm enough to look back, you will realize that every fall, every loss, was merely another step on the long journey home. The journey of awakening of faith and of understanding that everything unfolds exactly as it should. None of us can escape suffering. Whether rich or poor, brilliant or humble, we will all experience loss, failure, or loneliness. But the Buddha taught that suffering is not punishment, it is a lesson. It does not come to destroy you, but to awaken you. Like a strict teacher, suffering does not use gentle words, but uses trials to make us face the truths we often avoid. When life flows smoothly, we learn little. But when it challenges us, we learn who we are. Most people respond to pain by resisting it, through resentment, avoidance, or denial. Yet the more we resist, the longer it lasts. Like someone struggling in water, the harder they fight, the deeper they sink. Only when they stop resisting, relax, and let the current carry them do they rise to the surface. So it is with suffering. When we stop seeing it as an enemy and accept it as part of the path, we begin to transform it into wisdom. The Buddha once said, "Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Pain is an objective truth, but suffering is the result of attachment." When we cease to cling, pain becomes only an experience, no longer a chain. There is a famous Zen story of a disciple who complained about the unfairness of life. The master told him to put a handful of salt into a glass of water and taste it. "It's unbearably salty," said the disciple. The master smiled and led him to a lake, asking him to throw the same salt into it and drink again. The saltiness vanished. "The salt is the same," the master said, "but your heart has grown larger." The pain did not change, only the capacity to hold it did. Suffering becomes unbearable only when the heart is too small to contain it. Every event in life conceals a subtle lesson. Betrayal teaches us to let go and to have compassion. Failure teaches patience and humility. Loss teaches that nothing truly belongs to us forever. Pain, when viewed through awareness, is the invisible hand of the universe shaping us into our purest form. Just as fire melts raw gold to preserve only the precious essence, suffering melts the ego to reveal the luminous soul within. So when life hurts, you don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" The first question leads to bitterness. The second leads to wisdom. Every moment of pain is an invitation to look deeper, to understand more, and to love better. Suffering is not random. It is the design of spiritual evolution. Without suffering, there can be no awakening. Without loss, there can be no discovery. And one day you will look back on your darkest years and smile, realizing that they were the very moments that carried you toward peace. You will see that suffering was never against you. It was guiding you home to your true nature, clear, steady, and free, where every scar is no longer a mark of weakness, but a testament to your growth. Human beings constantly crave stability. We like everything to stay within our control: a secure job, smooth relationships, a peaceful life. But the paradox is this: it's precisely when everything is too calm that we stop growing. Buddhism teaches that without chaos, there can be no transformation. The storms of life do not come to destroy us, but to awaken the dormant parts within us that comfort has made us forget. Life, in its mysterious way, always creates storms when change is needed, even if our minds are not yet ready. Like a seed lying on the surface of the soil, basking in sunlight, it will never sprout. Only when it is buried in darkness, under pressure, soaked in moisture, does it begin to crack open from within and rise into a plant. Chaos is that darkness, the place where we think we are being buried, but in truth we are being reborn. Without pressure, there is no growth. Without crisis, there is no awakening. What we often call misfortune is usually the invisible hand of the universe ushering in a new phase of evolution. There is a Zen story about a butterfly. One day, a disciple saw a butterfly struggling to break free from its cocoon. Feeling pity, he used a small knife to help it out. But when the butterfly emerged, its fragile wings were too weak to fly. The master said, "It is through the struggle that its wings grow strong. By freeing it from hardship, you robbed it of its chance to learn how to fly." That story perfectly mirrors human life. Without limitation, without friction, we would never discover our true strength. Chaos is the environment where new energy is born. Every crisis carries within it the seed of awakening. A failure might force us to re-examine our true worth. A loss might compel us to release the old and open ourselves to a new path. Just as a broken mirror reflects the entire sky, the fractures within us help us see ourselves more clearly than ever before. When life turns upside down, don't rush to call it misfortune. It is simply the universe rearranging what has become outdated to prepare for a deeper order. Buddhism does not teach us to avoid suffering, but to see meaning within it. It does not teach us to seek peace by escaping storms, but to remain peaceful in the middle of them. When we learn to embrace chaos without fear, we become fluid like water, able to adapt to any shape, yet never losing our essence. Every storm exists for a reason, and if we are calm enough, we will see that after every breakdown we are not weaker, but stronger, clearer, and closer to our truest self. So when life throws you into chaos, don't ask, "Why?" Ask, "How is this helping me grow?" Because without chaos, there can be no transformation. In those moments when everything seems lost, we are being remade, like the butterfly breaking free from its cocoon, like the seed cracking open in the dark. Life never destroys us. It only strips away the old shell, so we can rise higher, reach further, and become our fullest selves. There are times when life seems to fall out of order. Plans collapse, what we try to hold slips away, and people we trust walk out of our lives. We look around and ask, "Why is this happening?" But in Buddhism, nothing is random. Beneath the seeming chaos of the world lies a subtle and perfect order that humans often fail to see, that is Dharma. the natural law that governs all existence. Dharma is not punishment or reward. It is the neutral flow of cause and effect, always precise and balanced. Every event in our lives, whether pleasant or painful, exists within that current. Look at nature. The sun rises and sets on time. Spring comes when the earth is ready. Rain falls and evaporates in its cycle. There is no rush, no delay. Everything follows a perfect rhythm. Only humans clinging to personal desires lose the ability to trust that natural flow. When life doesn't follow our plans, we panic, resist, and complain. Yet the more we fight, the further we drift from the harmony of Dharma. The Buddha said, "When a river stops flowing, the water becomes muddy. When the mind stops resisting, wisdom becomes clear. Life already has its own order. We only need to pause to see it." An ancient Buddhist story tells of a man caught in a storm at sea. He fought against the waves with all his strength, trying to swim upstream. But the more he struggled, the more he exhausted himself. Finally, when he surrendered, the current gently carried him back to shore. Likewise, when we stop fighting the current of life, we are not drowned, we are guided back to where we belong. Dharma never harms anyone. It is only our resistance that brings suffering. When something leaves your life, trust that it has fulfilled its purpose. When a door closes, perhaps the universe is redirecting you toward a path that suits your evolution. When a challenge appears, it may be Dharma training you for the next chapter. We often want things to come faster or easier, but the universe never rushes. The lotus blooms only when the water is still enough. The sun rises only when the night has been long enough. Everything has its timing, and when we learn to trust it, we no longer worry about delays, losses, or change. Dharma teaches that nothing arrives early or late. It arrives exactly when you are ready to understand. Today's losses may be the foundation for tomorrow's blessings. The people who leave are not there to wound you, but to make space for new lessons. When we see life through the eyes of Dharma, everything makes sense, even the things that seem chaotic on the surface. We stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "Where is this trying to take me?" The secret of peace lies in trusting that invisible order. Behind every disturbance is a perfect arrangement that the mind is not yet wise enough to perceive. Life is never wrong. Only we have not been still enough to see how right it truly is. When we release our need for control and live in harmony with Dharma, all fear, resistance, and doubt dissolve, leaving behind a deep trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. That is the wisdom of the universe. Human beings are taught from childhood to take control of their lives. We learn to plan, predict, and calculate risks, believing that with enough skill, we can make life unfold according to our will. Yet sooner or later, life proves the opposite. Relationships we thought were unbreakable fall apart. The job we thought was secure ends suddenly. The most perfect plans can collapse overnight. In those moments, we are stunned to realize everything we thought we controlled was only an illusion. Buddhism calls this the illusion of control, the deep root of anxiety and suffering. For the human mind always craves certainty, predictability, and assurance. But life operates under the law of impermanence. Everything changes, nothing is fixed, and nothing truly belongs to us. The tighter we grip, the more we suffer. The more we try to control, the more we are trapped in fear. Like someone trying to block a river with their bare hands, the harder they press, the faster the water spills out. Life is the same. It doesn't need to be controlled. It needs to be trusted. A Zen story tells of a king who once asked his 3 ministers, "Why is life so unpredictable?" The first said it was luck. The second said it was the result of past karma. The third said nothing but led the king to a river and asked him to try stopping the water with his hands. The king tried, but the current still flowed. When exhausted, he released his grip, and the water became calm again. The minister smiled. "Your Majesty, life is like this river. You can fight against it, or learn to move with it. Trusting the flow does not mean giving up or being passive. On the contrary, it is conscious trust, knowing you can act wholeheartedly without clinging to the result. Buddhism calls this wu-wei action without force. Like a skilled rower who uses the current to travel farther, we too can use life's own flow to move forward instead of wasting strength resisting it. Right action aligns with nature, not born from fear or compulsion, but from understanding and ease. Letting go of control does not mean losing agency. It is a shift from, I must control everything, to I trust that I can handle whatever comes. When we believe in our capacity to adapt, we no longer need to cling to outcomes. That self-trust brings a peace deeper than any external certainty. In truth, the unexpected is the soil of growth. A closed door opens a better path. A failure forces reflection, learning, and wisdom. If you look back on your life, you'll see many things that seem like losses were actually beginnings. Every time you were pushed out of your comfort zone, you were being guided into a zone of growth. When you stop asking, why isn't life going my way, and start asking, where is life trying to take me, you enter a higher level of understanding, where peace no longer depends on circumstances, but on trust that the universe knows what it's doing. Oh, life after all is not something to control, but a river to learn to swim in. When you stop fearing, you realize the water never wanted to drown you. It was teaching you how to let go, how to trust, and how to move with grace. Control is the burden of the ego. Surrender is the strength of the awakened mind. And when you truly let go, life ceases to be a struggle and becomes a harmonious symphony where every rise and fall is part of the perfect melody you were meant to live fully within. Life changes faster than we imagine. What feels full today may be gone tomorrow. Smiles today can become tears tomorrow. We suffer because we want everything to stay the same, yet the Buddha taught that peace only comes when we learn to live with impermanence. Impermanence is not life's tragedy, it is the heartbeat of the universe. Because everything changes, flowers bloom, seasons shift, and human beings evolve. The unexpected is not an enemy, but a quiet teacher showing us the wisdom of acceptance. When upheaval strikes, our first reaction is fear. We cling to what's familiar, hold on to what feels certain, yet life is a river that never stops moving. The more we cling, the more we suffer. The more we resist, the more we tire. The Buddha said, "The root of suffering is attachment to what is transient." Everything we possess, our job, status, relationships, even our body is temporary. Understanding this doesn't make us pessimistic. It makes us more present. When we know nothing lasts forever, we learn to love without possession, hold without attachment, and live without fear of loss. A Zen story tells of a villager who ran up the mountain to warn a monk. "Master, a great storm is coming. You must leave at once." The monk smiled and replied, "If the storm comes, I will welcome it. If I live, I live. If I die, I accept death." His answer was not indifference, but the height of wisdom, the wisdom of one who understands that everything happens in its time, and nothing is fearful when we no longer fight life. Peace is not found by banishing storms, but by learning to stand still in the wind. Impermanence is the law, but acceptance is the art. It is the art of trust. When we trust the flow of life, every change becomes lighter. Losing a job may become the start of renewal. Separation may become the beginning of self-understanding. Failure may become an invitation to discover our hidden strength. In truth, every loss in life is an opening, a doorway to a new form of growth. The moment we stop asking why and start asking where is this leading me, we begin to perceive the wisdom of impermanence. True peace is not when everything is stable, but when the mind stays steady amid change. It is the inner strength of one who understands nothing is fixed, so nothing needs to be held. When we no longer fear the unexpected, we finally begin to live. For within impermanence, we learn presence, not running to the past, not fearing the future, but dwelling fully in this moment, where life truly happens. And perhaps that is the greatest gift of impermanence. It awakens us from the illusion that things will always stay this way, so we begin to live more deeply, love more sincerely, and appreciate every moment with gratitude. Life is a river in perpetual motion, and instead of fearing its bends, may we learn to release the oars, listen to the water, and trust that the current is always carrying us exactly where we need to be. In change, we do not lose peace, we only learn to find it at a deeper level. Enlightenment is not a distant destination, nor a sudden burst of light in some mystical moment. It is a quiet unfolding that happens within the smallest experiences of daily life. It lives in the failures that humble us, in the pain that forces us to look inward, and in the simple moments of peace we often overlook. Every event, whether grand or mundane, is a subtle lesson sent by the universe not to punish, but to awaken. Nothing happens without meaning. Each time the heart breaks, it expands to love more deeply. Each time we fall, we learn to rise with greater wisdom. The path of enlightenment begins when we stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" The first question keeps us in the role of victim. The second elevates us to the role of student. When perspective shifts, every suffering becomes material for growth. The Buddha taught, there is no path to peace. Peace is the path. Every mindful breath, every moment we choose to pause and observe our emotions instead of fleeing them, that is, enlightenment growing. Enlightenment is not an escape from the world, but the ability to see truth within it, without judgment, without fear. Look back at your life. You have lived through moments you thought were impossible to survive, and yet here you are stronger, wiser, deeper. Everything that once broke you has become the foundation of who you are now. The universe never wastes a single pain. It uses trials to break stubborn egos, losses to expand compassion, and adversity to sharpen wisdom. The more we understand this, the more we replace resentment with gratitude, resistance with reverence. Enlightenment does not arrive in moments of perfection, but in the willingness to sit calmly amid the storm. When you can smile even when things don't go your way, when you can thank those who hurt you because they taught you the value of forgiveness, that is the light of awakening. This path does not require you to leave the world, only to let go of the illusion that the world must obey your will. Each time you release an attachment, a fear, an expectation, you move one step closer to inner freedom. Trust that no moment of your life is ever wasted. Even in pain, confusion, or exhaustion, each step you take is still guiding you toward greater clarity. Every experience, joy or sorrow, success or failure, is a stepping stone, leading you home to the place where your soul has always been at peace. When you see life through awakened eyes, you realize everything is already perfect in its imperfection. And one day you'll understand, enlightenment is not found at the end of the path, but within every breath, every glance, every gesture, filled with gratitude and awareness. When the mind no longer resists life, life itself becomes the teaching. When we live with acceptance and thankfulness, everything becomes a living meditation. Each day we breathe is another chance to understand, to love, to awaken. The path to enlightenment requires no journey outward. It is the journey inward, where the heart rests in peace, amid the endless flow of life, and every experience, no matter how ordinary, becomes a step toward returning home to your truest self.